nektam roishe. Nektam roishe means it was cut off. If it was cut off, it's considered to be possible. And it's interesting because it's only a small amount. You hardly see it. The Ran in Sukkah says that the top of a lulav is like the choitim of an esrog. So just like the choitim of an esrog is so choshev, it's at the top, everyone can see it. So to the top of a lulav, says the Ran, is also the most choshev, and that's the reason why the top is very important. Now, nektam roishe, I have to tell you, is hard to see. One of the ways, which it takes a lot of experience, is to look at it with an aerial view, take a magnifying glass, and look at it in an aerial view, and you sometimes can see whether or not it's actually whole or not, which again, you'll have to go to your local Orthodox rabbi to ask him whether or not it's a nektam roishe or not, right? Now, that's the reason why some people like to take a lulav with a kneppel. What's a kneppel? Steipler was very makbid to take a lulav with a kneppel. A kneppel means it's bent over. And it's very interesting. You'll go to someone with two lulavim and say, Rebbe, what do I do? This one or this one? And I'll say, that one. What's the difference? Looks to me exactly the same. Why'd you pick this one over that one? And the answer is, because this one is a kneppel. A kneppel means it slightly goes over. Right? The tip slightly goes over. What's the milah? The milah is, it's not nektam roishe. It's 100% shalom. Most of the times also, it's not nechlaka also. It's not split as well because it has that corner piece, because it has that bend over, therefore it is okay. So that is a kneppel, that is the lulav, and that's the basic shilas when we discuss a lulav. Let's move on, Rabbi Sai, to the next one. The Heilige Hadassim. One of the Brisker Rabbonim once walked into Sukkos, Yontov day. First day Yontov. One hadas. They said, Rebbe, one hadas. I think you need three. So I only found one that was kosher. I couldn't find any other ones that were kosher. Moiridik. So people are like, wow, hadassim. It's the easiest thing in the world, hadassim. And then you go to the shuk over here, and like, what is going on over here? These people got nothing better to do. They're sitting with these black buckets with piles of these hadassim there for hours. These people have been going since Hanukkah, by the way, yeah? Just by the way. They didn't start now. They've been going since Hanukkah. They're looking every single, what are they looking at? So the answer to what they're looking at is they're looking to make sure it's ovois, okay? Anaf eitz ovois, Lashon HaPosuk, which the Gemara tells us, it's like it's braided. What is braiding? Or English people, plaiting. It basically means I have three leaves on the same level. I will tell you there's a Rashi. Rashi says that all three leaves are coming from exactly the same sprout. Not the same level, the same sprout. As I state in Rashi. Says Tosfos, Rashi, what are you doing? No one's going to be able to fulfill a mitzvah of Hadassim if you're going to find an entire shear of Hadassim with all three leaves on every level coming up from the same spot. Tosfos asks this question on Rashi. They once told me that Rav Chaim Kanievsky Shlita had Hadassim Shitas Rashi. They were $400 a stick. $400 a stick. But apparently he had them. I don't know. But we paskin lemaisa that if they're on the same level, it's okay. So what's everyone looking for? Because the Gemara tells us that a hadas shoita is a hadas that has two leaves on the one level and one leaf on a different level. That's a hadas shoita. That's a hadas shoita, and it's possible. So we have to make sure that our hadassim don't fit into that. So that's why people are looking. Now, the Chazon Ish came along, and the Steipler in Kilisaka tells us it's a Yerushalmi Mefurish, and the Chazon Ish says a gavaldige kula. And that kula is like this. Listen very carefully, because this saves the whole hadassim situation. And that is that it doesn't have to be that they're coming from exactly the same level on every single kan, on every single level of the hadassim. But if you would take a string, a thin string, and you would wrap the string around the root of each leaf on each level, it would meet somewhere. In other words, when you wrap the string around, what would happen is it somewhere along the lines would meet each of the roots on that level. Then it's kosher. Even though they're not sprouting out from exactly the same level, but there are people that are looking for mishulash, you'll see, all packets. Briska hadassim. What are briska hadassim? What's pshat? What do they know about Reb Chaim? The answer is very simple. That they have a full share, whatever the share of hadassim is, that they're mishulash all the way. Okay, and that's something that you have to be careful of. Rav Vosner asks in Shevet HaLevi, what do I have to? How careful do I have to look? And he says like this: you look the way a regular person looks. If it looks masholish to you, it looks pretty much that they're all on the same level of every three. Then you're okay. Okay, that is the most important shaila. Another idea that you have to know about the hadassim as well is nektam roishay. So nektam roishay, here's a great example of nektam roishay. If we would take this off, right? That's over here. So you've got the actual eights, the wood, right? Now that looks pretty good to you. You wouldn't even know the difference. If I would give you this hadas, it would look like a gavaldiga hadas. Nothing wrong with it. But we just ripped this piece off of the top. So nektam roishe means the eights, the actual piece of wood at the top of the hadassim has been cut off, not the leaf. If the top leaf comes off, that's not nektam roishe. That's not a problem. The leaf is not a problem. It's the actual eights, it's the piece of wood. So you just got to check the top to make sure it's okay. That's number one. Another thing, which agav the Yavitz Paskins is possible, the Be'alocha says it's okay, we're okay with it. And that is if leaf number one does not reach the leaf on top of it. Now, you won't find this, but most of our hadassim, if you look carefully, again, most people don't even chap this, right? Because the Gemara says, most of the Rama, the Inish Lavadaite, right? We don't chap. But if you take one leaf and you overlap it over the one on top of it, no problem. But if you have a leaf that starts so low down that it ends up that it's not touching the leaf on top of it, the Yavitz Paskins it's possible, we Lamaiser are Makel, and we hold that it is okay. So that is the idea with the hadassim. The other idea that you have to know as well, when it comes to hadassim, is noshru olav, which means that sometimes, people spend so much money on their dalit minim, and then they buy the koshikol, right? Many Klal Yisrael, they buy the koshikol, and they have this koshikol which has got the two leaves, the two legs on it, and you stick it in. And sometimes you take it out, and little do you know that when you stick it in, you stick it out, some of the leaves are coming off, some are coming off. You don't even chap, because they're inside the koshikol. So there you are. You just spent $100 on this beautiful piece over here. You stuck it into the koshikol, and boom, you lost everything. So as long as roiv of the leaves are still on, it's 100% kosher. Is it mahadran? No. You've got to be careful to take the koshikol, you give it a squeeze, and when it opens, expands it, and then you put it in slowly. And if you take it out, you do the same thing. But be very, very careful that you don't rip off any of the leaves. But again, if you do, kosher, as long as roiv of the leaves are on. Let us move on to the Heilige Aravos. I say the Heilige Aravos for a reason. This is a mace mitzvah. You know what a mace mitzvah means? It's a mace that Rahman al-Nebuch has no mishpacha, no family members to bury it. This is a mace mitzvah. How does it work with our Ravos? You know how it goes, right? Lulav, we spend hours. Hadassim, even more hours. Esrogim, weeks and weeks. Comes to our Ravos. Oh, you're going to the shuk? Could you do me a favor? Could you bring me up a packet of our Ravos? Who even looks at their Ravos? It's like a lucky dip. You stick your hand in, you pick it out, I won. Great, I have my Ravos. It's a mace mitzvah. There are so many halachas that you have to know about this wonderful, one of the Dalet Minim that we have to look into and make sure we know what it is. The Gemara in Sukkah Lamed tells us, Tanu Rabbanan, Eiza Rova, and the Gemara brings us 3 simonim. Number 1, the kona, right, which is the wooden part, right, the stick, the twig, is red. Number 2, long leaves, and number 3, it's very smooth. Right? So pretty much all our Ravos fit into that category. But the Beis Yosef and the Taz asked the following question. A lot of our Ravos don't have green twigs. Is that okay? And the Beis Yosef said it's absolutely fine. It's 100% kosher to have our Ravos that have a green twig. However, and this is again something that I suggest, if you're looking for decent Aravos and you want to get the mahadran, minim mahadran, the top hechsha, the best, for all of you people out there that light 2 candles on the second night of Hanukkah, and you do mahadran, minim mahadran, you could do mahadran and mahadran over here also, by trying to find a twig that has a redness or a brownness to it. It's a mila. It's wonderful, it's kosher without that, but it's a mila to have that it's brown in that case. That's the number 1 halacha. Number 2, nektam roishe. So you should know, there was a kuntras in Lakewood that came out a bunch of years ago called the Lavlov. And basically they wanted to say that the Lavlov, which is basically, if you go all the way to the top of the Aravos, you get this mamish the top, it's almost like the shedra of the Lulav. You get like this little crown, little tiny leaf over there, you could see, that's the middle. That's the Lavlov, right? So they had a kuntras written in America saying, if you don't have that, then it's possible. Now, Rabbi Zul Orbach told me all about this, and